You're listening to the Plane Talking UK podcast, the UK-based podcast written by a passenger for anyone. And here are your hosts, Carl Stebbings and Matt Smith.
Well, hello and welcome to episode number 118, Matt, of the Plane Talking UK podcast. I know. Welcome, everyone, to the show, and it is, we'll do a quick date check before we start, the 25th of June. The time's just coming up to 10 past 10. Only 10 minutes late this week.
We're 7 minutes past, 8 minutes past. We're only 8 minutes late this morning. This is unheard of.
It's amazing. We're not hardly late at all this week.
No, indeed.
So,
and it's fair to say that we woke up this morning to a slightly different United Kingdom,
we did.
I feel.
Yes.
Maybe not so united as it once was. I don't really know what to say.
No.
I think we have some scary times ahead.
Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah.
We are gonna. We've got a little story in the news segment about the we'll give it a name check. Brexit.
How very on message.
But as everyone knows, it's been in the news so much for the last couple of days that we're not going to sit here and chat politics for an hour and a half.
Really? Has it been in the news? Oh, I seem to have missed it.
Tears.
Yeah, right.
As it's kind of like football for me.
Oh,
this whole thing.
really?
It's just incredibly boring.
Well, you need to listen to the stories because it's very, very important.
But we have got some fantastic stories to bring you this week. Some
Good.
quite amusing ones. And but we've also brought back to give us a hand this morning. One of our returning
to help us muddle through all
co-hosts.
the fog and the unpleasantness.
And he's someone who gave me a hand earlier on in the year when Matt was stuck in London.
You're not going to let that go, are you?
I know.
Ever?
No. And he came on the show
stuck
and
on a train.
helped me on
Yes,
that
he did.
evening.
Absolutely.
So welcome and good morning to Nev.
Yes, good morning, gents. Hope you're both well. And just returned from my holiday, so trying to get back into the swing of things and trying to get back used to the temperatures here as well, which are pretty different from where I was. But,
what was the temperature where you were?
About 29 or 30 degrees in Croatia, and as I left, it went up to about 33 degrees. So we're very fortunate with the weather, and it wasn't too hot when we were there. It was just nice, actually.
Yeah, it is definitely. I say this every time, though, isn't it? It is a different heat, isn't it? Somehow, if you get to anywhere near that, and you very, very rarely get anywhere near those kind of temperatures here, but you get sort of like quite often get 25, 26, don't we?
So for the benefit of those in the chat room, anyway, Nev, who don't know where you've been, whereabouts in the wonderful EU have you been?
To the city of Dubrovnik. In Croatia, that's the former Yugoslavia, and it's we were staying just about 5 miles south of it at the lovely Radisson Blu resort, and it was just the job actually. It wasn't too busy, perfect really, and wow, fantastic hotel internet outside as well, better than I've got at home here.
Really,
I had no choice but to take the MacBook Air with me and the headphones so I could listen to last week's PT UK show.
Oh, good. Oh, that's very good.
He's very on message. Well done.
Checks in the post now.
Yeah,
checks
absolutely.
in the post.
Yeah. So was this business or pleasure, sir?
No, pleasure. I had been on business there about 3 or 4 years ago, and I liked it so much I thought we'd go back. So we just took a flight out there from Gatwick. Currently my least favourite airport, I have to say. But there we are.
And a certain co-host has got that to look forward to
from there tomorrow
morning.
He
can't wait. Yes.
So, Matt, dare I ask, what airline did you fly, and how was your flight, and what aircraft did you travel on?
It's British Airways, as you might have expected, and it was an A320-200, and in the posh seats as well. I sort of spent some Avios points, so we were in the business class both ways, and the food was very nice there. Because British Airways is moving from the north terminal to the south terminal at Gatwick, there's no lounge at the moment, so we had to use the other lounge, so we had to slum it with the rest of them. But I didn't mind too much. We stayed the night before because it was a 6:50 flight, so we stayed at the Premier Inn down at Gatwick the previous night. But very nice flying conditions and beautiful scenery as well as you come into Dubrovnik, landing on runway 12, I think it is, coming in, and then departing on the opposite direction at runway 30. And really, really nice flying conditions, perfectly smooth, and beautiful sunshine as well. So very, very nice.
I think it was 1986 when I was last in Dubrovnik, in Yugoslavia. I've been back there a couple of times. I think it was 86 and 87. I think we went back 2 years, but it was a long while ago. But as a child, I remember what a fantastic place Dubrovnik was. Absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. Actually, that was when we flew there. That was with an airline which I think are still in service now. It was Aviogenics, which is like I think it was a Yugoslav airline, and that was on the Tu-134A. If you've seen or heard of the Tu-134A, and that was one of the Russian sort of converted bombers. Still had the glass glass sort of nose on them, where the I think it was the bomber used to sit, or the actual sites used to sit. But that was quite a few years ago. But no, fantastic place, Nev. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
So we've got loads of news to get through this week. We haven't got a segment from Pip quite yet, but he is sending one in now, isn't he? So we're going to edit that into.
So why would
the
you
show.
mention it then?
That's fine.
Honestly, you've got no idea, have you?
So
start that bit again and just say we've got a segment from Pip that's coming. No, you've got to do it properly. Okay. If I've got to edit it, then I might as well do it. No, come on, it's my job.
So we've got our segment from Pip coming up later on in the show, which will be great. And I don't know what the segment's going to be on yet because I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. But we've got a segment from Pip. We've got
probably on Brexit.
Probably Brexit.
Yeah. Given what he was talking about in the chat room earlier, it's going to have something to do with that. I'm quite sure. But
and as I said, we've got Nev to join us. He's going to join us with the news bits and pieces.
Absolutely.
And and then I'm going to close the show. We're going to close the show, and I've got to go and pack my suitcase.
Yeah, somebody's off to Holland on holiday to Malta. Anyway, here we go. Let's start
our show then, as we do each week, with a rundown of the weekly news from around the world and the UK. So if you're ready, Matt.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
And if you're ready, Nev.
Yep, ready here.
Let's go. So kicking off this week's first news story then on the Flight Global site this week. And it's the Egypt Air A320 recorders undergoing circuitry tests. Investigators are cleaning and testing the circuit boards of the crashed Egypt Airbus A320's flight recorders ahead of attempting to extract their data. Both the cockpit voice and flight data recorder were retrieved from the wreckage of Flight MS-804 about a month after the jet came down in the Mediterranean Sea on the 19th of May. The Egyptian Civil Aviation Ministry said it's carrying out inspection and removal of salt accumulation on more than 200 electrical paths to ensure the circuitry is functional so that accurate data can be downloaded. French and US investigators are overseeing the process, and the ministry says the work to map the crash site and distribution of wreckage is continuing with a view to retrieving debris at a later stage.
Right. So just concentrating on the actual data recorder, I suppose. First.
Yeah. But it just goes to show that the pressure that these data recorders must have been under when they when the event happened, because these recorders are made to withstand quite a hefty fire and crash as well. But obviously the water's got into these recorders, and obviously salt water's not great when it comes to electronics.
Not good for anything, really, is it?
What are your thoughts on this, Nev?
Yeah, obviously these flight recorders, the CVR and the flight data recorders are made to extremely high, military standards. So it's very unusual not to be able to recover some data, isn't it? So I fully expect they will get something out of it. Whether they'll get the full story or not, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, as long as they get, frankly, as long as they get enough information to give us some answers, I think that's all that really matters, isn't it?
Yeah. Matty Fab in the chat room has put, isn't it time with the technology we have these days that we redesign the black boxes to withstand bigger impacts and pressures, etc.
Well, I think in their defence, perhaps they had already done that. But until you're in a situation and you're in an environment that you can't test for all eventualities. I was under the impression that, and please somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I was under the impression that this equipment was already sort of pretty.
They are
bulletproof.
I think the actual memory, the actual data storage parts of the black box. I think Neville will probably back me up on this if he knows. But the data part, I think they're surrounded by a kind of casing of something like a very high impact casing, like a resin casing of some description, Neville.
Yes, they are, and I think when they retrieve the data from them, quite often I've seen them put them in sort of a special solution or kind of some sort of water to try and preserve the data that's there.
Right.
But there's if they can't manage to do it properly there, I don't know what the sort of international protocol is for all this sort of stuff, but it might even be sent over to the AAIB at Farnborough, possibly.
Right. Yeah.
So, it'd be interesting to see how they get on with that.
So if we're going to obviously look to see what they find from him, but I think this is going to be a few more weeks at least until that they release any findings at all onto the news.
As I say, I mean, at the end of the day, we just need answers, don't we? That's what we need, and as long as they can retrieve enough information so that we have all the answers we need.
But a good source for any info on that is obviously, as we always say, and Jeff always talks about them a lot as well on APG, is the Aviation Herald website. Right. Simon's great site over there. Always comes up with updates regularly on anything that happens around the world. So that's probably a good place to look for.
Bookmark said page. Yeah, absolutely.
So moving on to the next story.
Yes, indeed. Next
for a
story.
change, it's not a Ryanair story.
Oh my goodness me! What's happened? The world is upside down. It's inside out. What's occurring? The good news is really. The good news is it's the Daily Mail, which means it must be true immediately. So it's the Mail Online, dailymail.co.uk, and I can't see the headline. The Tinder for Airports Butterfly app helps you find love with other lonely travellers at the terminal. Isn't that nice? There are only so many ways that there are only so many things that you can do at the airport. That could be about to change with a new app called Butterfly. Well, I'm pronouncing it Butterfly, but it's spelt BTRFLY, that offers air travellers the opportunity to connect in real life with like-minded people. Users log into the app with their flight details or airport and are shown a list of other users who are in the same airport or even on the same flight. Butterfly also gives information on where other users are flying to and what time to ensure that you have enough information and enough time before they jet off. The app's description says whether you're a business traveller en route to a conference or a music fan headed to a festival, looking to make new friends before the event and maybe even share a cab from the airport. Butterfly brings travellers together, whilst the Tinder for Airports app claims to be aimed at business people or people who just want to make friends. It could lead to romantic meetups and become more of a dating app. However, Butterfly may face some competition from other dating apps like Tinder and Happen, who already have similar functions where you can find users in the same area as you. It brings a whole new meaning to the word Mile High Club, really, doesn't it?
Did you know, when I initially saw this story, I thought, really? What a brilliant idea!
Really?
Well, the dating apps.
I was a little bit concerned it was aimed at me because, Mr. Lonely Heart's over
No.
just trying to tell me something.
Well, it's a technology thing. I thought that's why I picked it for you.
Okay.
But anyway,
there are all manner of apps out there.
It's interesting to see, because there are a lot of people who travel to airports, obviously on a daily basis, and if you're bored and you're single,
right,
and there's like-minded people there with you, it's nice to chat and talk to people rather than sit there with your mobile phone in front of your face on Facebook and Twitter.
It's an app.
Yeah, I know.
It's an app for your mobile phone, but you're going to sit there in the airport with you.
But then if someone's at the airport,
what a delightfully innocent world you live in.
But you can meet these people at the airport, Matt, and chat to them and have discussions with them.
And in your world, that seems very exciting.
Really, what there should be is an app for av geeks. So when you're at an airport and you've checked in and you're in the departure lounge, you can go on an app and you can find like-minded av geeks who are at the airport also waiting to go on holiday that you can connect with and talk aviation. Now, that would be a good app, don't you think, Nev? Okay. Come on.
Do you know what? I just can't think of anything more horrific.
Agreed.
As I am on the technical side of things, it's just going to... it's going to be so difficult.
I can just think of so many things that could go wrong. I've just got so many. horror stories about, as I say, Mile High Club and all this kind. And it's just no, just no.
Okay. Well, apparently Captain Al says I think I should test it out at Gatwick tomorrow.
Okay.
I may well do, but I don't think Gemma's going to be impressed.
Yes, there may be some minor technical issues to do with that. Yes, there could be. Mind you, on the plus side, you won't have to worry about, when you do the show, you'll have an entire week to do the show when you like, because she'll go and do something else.
I don't know. But anyway, we'll move swiftly on from that story on to the next story,
bombshell,
which is all for you, Neville.
Yeah, this is from the Breaking Travel News website, and it's about Emirates, who are releasing a 360-degree video of the Airbus A380 cockpit. And it says that Emirates has released the world's first 360 video tour of the A380 cockpit. Watch Captain Thomas Zizano from New Zealand and First Officer, I'm not even going to attempt that name.
Good call.
From the United Arab Emirates, give an immersive 360 view tour of the flight deck controls of an Emirates A380, the world's largest commercial aircraft. In another milestone for the Emirates A380 fleet, the airline will be taking delivery of its 80th A380 today. That's incredible, isn't it? This will be followed by the launch of a daily A380 service to Vienna, Emirates' 41st A380 destination, which starts on July the 1st. And they've got a further 62 A380s pending delivery, of which 21 will be joining the fleet this year. Emirates operate one of the youngest fleets in the industry, with an average age of 5.6 years. And over 4,000 pilots from nearly 100 nationalities fly the Emirates fleet of 250 all-wide-body aircraft that serve 155 destinations across 81 countries. They've got over 1,400 pilots on its A380 fleet and more than 2,500 pilots on the 777. The airline is hiring over 700 pilots in 2016 to operate its expanding fleet, and will be holding multiple recruitment events over the globe, events across the globe to support pilot recruitment. And there's a bit of a demo of the 360 video, which I did have a play with earlier on, actually, and I couldn't get it to work either on my Mac or my iPad or the iPhone. But I'm sure if you put it as a link in the show notes, someone will be able to get it to work. It's a very interesting bit of video, actually. Although I could play the video, I couldn't actually, navigate it around.
Yeah, we were going to give it a go, but as I say, we did it once. We got YouTube told us off. So
these videos,
it is breakingtravelnews.com, and as I say, if you search for the headline, which was where are we? It says Emirates releases 360 video of Airbus A380. You'll soon find it. It's easy enough to find.
But these 360 videos are getting ever more popular now on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've seen quite a few of the display teams.
He's the one pioneering the technology. Mr. Zuckerberg is the one that sort of. Is it Oculus he bought? Someone like that, wasn't it?
Yes, I think it was. Yes.
Yeah. And they're the ones that sort of come up with it. I mean, it's a brilliant system. Unfortunately, the cameras are really expensive. So, ladies and gentlemen, it'll be a long time before we get one of those cameras here in this studio.
Yeah. We could get all 5 of our webcams and kind of.
We could more or less do it.
Sellotape them together or something. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Along those lines.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, next story, moving on, is on again the Breaking Travel News site, and it's a story. I think Pip sent this through earlier this week.
Did he?
Actually, to us, yeah. Low-cost carrier POP. That's P-O-P, seeks to connect UK to India. POP, the new low-cost long-haul airline in the making plans to operate non-stop flights from the UK to Amritsar and Ahmedabad.
I beg your pardon?
In India. Sorry if I pronounced those wrong. Currently, flights between the UK and India are predominantly between London Heathrow and just 2 main destinations, Mumbai and Delhi, and 3 supporting ones, Bangalore, Chennai and Hyderabad. There are also a number of indirect UK to India routes through the Middle East. This ignores the important secondary cities of India that would undoubtedly benefit from point-to-point flights from the UK. There's a growing demand for such route driven by India's increasing popularity and prosperity, rapid urbanisation and industrial development, and not least by the growing aspirations of its population. POP aims to provide an enhanced value airline, combining a number of factors including highly competitive rates, fares, self-selected onboard and ground services, and convenient non-stop flights. Additionally, POP's unique business model will put people over profit by donating 51% of its profits to charities in the communities it serves. Nino Singe, judge chairman of POP, commented, "POP is different. It's going to be a UK airline whose DNA is Indian." The Punjabi and Gujarati communities in both the UK and India historically have had strong family and business connections, and that desire for both communities to keep in touch and visit each other has not abated over the years. Add to that India's booming economy and the rise of the middle classes, including expansion in their numbers and the larger disposable income, and their increasing spending power and their insatiable desire to travel, all means that there are vast numbers of potential passengers waiting for an airline like POP to offer the opportunity to fly. Combine the fact that passengers are contributing to the improvement of their own society in both the UK and India, perhaps even helping a village or an individual known to them personally, means there's an excellent chance for POP's two proposed routes to Amritsar and Ahmedabad to bring a great success. It's hoped that the first POP flight will take over later this year. And there's a little picture there of their kind of poster campaign that they're going to put out there, which shows the POP with the picture of the UK. You can see the top left there, with direct routes to them two destinations.
Will they want to change this now, given what's occurred sort of
I don't
over
know.
the last couple of days?
It's a tough one to call, but I think for a lot of the people who wish to, because India is one of those quite interesting places that a lot of people I know have been to on holiday, and they thoroughly enjoy it. And to have a direct flight there with a kind of low cost as such long haul airline, I think is going to be quite good. Have you heard of POP, Nev?
No, but I may be going to India in the next couple of months for work.
Cool.
We might be doing some work over there, so that might, I don't know if they're going to be running it at that stage, but certainly looking at some of the more traditional airlines fares, they are pretty high. So
so any alternative will be appreciated, no doubt.
Definitely,
yeah, absolutely.
So next story, moving on.
Next story. This is
another fun one for you, Matt.
Right. Okay. So this is the is more because I'm nervous. It's just, so I've had a bit of a busy week, unfortunately, so I haven't had a chance to proofread the stories. City News is the website. citynews.ca. Is that Canada? Canada,
I think it is Canada.
Citynews.ca.
It's Pearson. Yeah, it's Pearson Airport. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So luggage crashes through luggage crashes through ceiling at Pearson Airport. I'm just going to pop that picture up before I start reading the story there. It's made a bit of a mess of the departure.
It's rather unfortunate, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Especially if he's standing there when the luggage fell through.
Well, indeed, exactly. So lost luggage is a relatively common problem at Pearson International Airport, and I dare say, to be fair, it's probably quite common at most airports. But it's not every day that suitcases rain down from the ceiling. That's what happened Thursday morning in Terminal 3's baggage hall. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported, but photos from social media show the extent of the damage, with large chunks of the ceiling falling to the floor. Greater Toronto Airports Authority spokesperson Erin Kennedy says that the two suitcases crashed through the ceiling. The area has been taken out of service while a structural assessment takes place. Kennedy says that no one was in the immediate area when the bags crashed through the ground at around about 11 a.m. Sounds like more luck than judgment, sadly. That's pretty much all there is to that story.
But not the sort of thing you want to happen, really, when you're...
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit random. It's,
bit of paperwork for them to fill out?
Yes, absolutely. Got to love a bit of admin, haven't you?
Safety.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody's going to spit their dummy out over that, no doubt.
I just hope they're soft bags, not those hard cases that
look
that
pretty
have.
firm. Pretty firm, it has to be said.
That would be quite painful to have one of them land on your head.
Indeed.
Especially if someone's had a good day at the duty-free before they fly home or something.
All about the duty-free.
I know.
Honestly.
So next story is all for you, Nev.
Yeah, this is from the chaviation.com website, and it's all about Russia's Airbridge Cargo, who are set to order 10 Boeing 747-800 series freighters. And they're reported close to finalising a deal with Boeing for 10 of these machines, the Bloomberg website has reported. The order, which could be announced at the upcoming Farnborough Air Show, builds on a year-old commitment from parent company Volga Dnepr Airlines to acquire 20 of the type back in June of last year. And they now operate 9 747-400s, freighter versions, 8 747-800 freighter versions, and 2 freighter 737-400 versions, which are leased from ATRAN. And they have a total of 19 aircraft in their fleet, with 36 destinations, 91 routes, and 38 daily flights. So that's quite a substantial cargo operation now, isn't it, with those extra aircraft on order?
Mm-hmm. It's good news for Boeing as well, because the Dash 8 has not been a popular one for passenger carriers.
Is it not?
No, because the Dash 8 is kind of the very latest 747, Matt, and it's re-engined and it's all sort of nice and fresh and new. It's the same aircraft essentially as the 400 series, but I think it's slightly stretched. But it just hasn't done as well in the commercial side as it has done in the freighter side. But it's good to see that at least Airbridge are going to have got their order in here for some more of these Dash 8, the 747-8s as cargo aircraft. So at least Boeing have got they can still keep producing these on the line over across the pond there. So next news story is...
It's got the word Russia in it. I just get a bit nervous.
Oh, right, okay. EU and all that.
Yeah, indeed. That's right, yes.
So the next story...
Not for much longer.
On the CH Aviation site. And the headline, La Campagne to offer all-you-can-fly TATL ticket. La Campagne in Paris-Le Bourget has unveiled...
Beautiful pronunciation, so very good.
I got a G in French,
Did you? Excellent. That was well spent.
Has unveiled an all-you-can-fly ticket which offers its holder to an unlimited number of transatlantic flights for a flat fee of £25,000 or $35,000, or that converts into 30,000 euros. Probably not now.
Right.
The ticket, of which only 10 will be offered to the market on a first-come, first-served basis, will be made available from July the 18th to the 23rd this year. Once purchased, the ticket will be valid until December the 15th, 2017.
Wow.
La Campagne operates all premium configured 757-200s on regular flights from London Luton and Paris Charles de Gaulle to Newark. And there's a lovely picture there of one of their 757-200s.
Yeah, I popped it up a minute ago,
as Matt Shaw on there. And this is an all kind of all posh class.
Right, yeah. Like I say, you've got to do quite a lot of flying to
get
your value for money out of it, haven't you? I mean, it's there are people out there,
Or Nev, he'd probably benefit from this,
right? Yes,
all the
absolutely.
flying that Nev does.
Yeah, I don't do as much flying now as I used to, I must say, but that could be quite useful, though, couldn't it? If you're doing a lot.
And if you are going to do it, do it in style,
I think you'd have to work out over the course of a year how many times you'd fly from London Luton to Paris Charles de Gaulle to Newark, and then sort of add up the cost over the year and see whether it would come to £25,000.
Well, yes, absolutely. I mean, but there are people who are going 3-4 times a day, aren't they? Sometimes, I mean, it's like where they're more or less commuting, aren't they? Depending on what they're requiring to do. Hello, you look distracted.
Sorry, I'm just checking. Captain Al is keeping everyone thoroughly entertained.
Right, okay. On behalf of everyone in the chat room, I'd like to apologise in advance for the no doubt smut that's coming out of his mouth.
Oh dear, the chat room needs an 18 rating, I think, when we've got Al in there.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly PG and above.
If Pip was in there, it would be carnage.
Thank goodness he's busy. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, so next news story.
Next story, that would be me, would it?
It would be you.
Yeah, this is on the PR Newswire, and that's prnewswire.com. Sorry, prnewswire.com. And the headline is, "The Museum of Flight opens spectacular new aviation Pavilion. Seattle, June 23rd, 2016 is when the story was released, and the Museum of Flight today previewed its new 3-acre Aviation Pavilion. The 9-story high-roofed outdoor gallery doubles the museum's exhibit space with the biggest expansion in its 51-year history, establishing a new Seattle landmark and one of the world's grand displays of historic aircraft. The pavilion exhibit focuses on the dramatic development of large aircraft and commercial airliners from the 1930s to present, and includes planes that cannot be seen anywhere else in the world. The pavilion opens daily, June 25th, with extended summer hours to 8 p.m. It also offers a cafe and a children's play area with a mini airport terminal under the wings of the first Boeing 747 jet. Jumbo jet, that's quite cool. So, probably your best bet with that story is if you take yourself to their website. The actual museum website is www.museumofflight. Museumofflight.org. So that's www.museumofflight.org. But it's some cracking photos on
the
there.
museum
It's an
itself.
amazing museum, yeah.
The museum itself is located at King County International Airport at the Boeing Field in Seattle.
Yeah.
They've got an average visitor count per year of 500,000 visitors a year.
Wow.
It was established in 1965, so it's a well-established museum.
Sounds like it needs to be on my bucket list then.
Yeah, and just looking at the pictures online here of the museum, it looks like a fantastic museum with some very, very quite nice exhibits in there.
Absolutely. That's good.
So next story, moving on, and that is all for me.
Is it?
Oh, is that me? Oh,
It
no,
should
it's
be
Nev.
Nev.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
I'm glad it's Nev.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go, Nev.
Why did you give this story to me?
He's like that. I ask that question every
I'm
time I end
gonna
up with
put some
another
toast on.
Ryanair story. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So the next story is all yours, Nev.
Yeah, thanks, lads.
Always a pleasure.
This is from the mirror.co.uk website.
Another quality rag then. Yeah.
I was going to say, I get all my high-quality news
Absolutely,
from that.
yes, yeah.
And it's about Brexit, isn't it? And the question is, how will Brexit affect cheap flights to Europe? And it's not all doom and gloom. Well, that's something, isn't it?
That's comforting, yeah.
It says that these days it can be cheaper to fly to Berlin than catch a train from London to Manchester. But with Brexit now set in stone, what's the future for our bargain flights to Europe? And on the eve of the big vote, the budget airline Ryanair launched a massive 24-hour sale with seats as cheap as £9.99
Wow.
to celebrate the EU referendum. Meanwhile, in the 7 days in the run-up to the big vote, British Airways, Monarch Airlines and Flybe launched rock-bottom sales with Thompson as low as £29 return to Spain.
My goodness me.
This morning, Ryanair still has the host of reduced tickets up for grabs, as do Thompson and Monarch. But with Brexit now official, our price is set to spike permanently. And, well, the leading low-cost airlines, EasyJet and Ryanair, say that their bargain flights to Europe are owed very much to the EU after it liberalised the skies 20 years ago by creating the single aviation area. Since 2006, this has created greater freedom for airlines to fly across Europe, as well as offering more opportunity for cross-border investment by European airlines. Brexit could mean renegotiation of these agreements, and if competition is reduced, fares could increase. EasyJet's founder, Sir Stelios, also previously warned that Brexit may lead to greater restrictions on airlines as competition drops. He said, "It is very possible that in a post-Brexit Europe, a more restrictive aviation environment would mean fewer flights from the UK to Europe and hence less competition between airlines. That in turn would mean higher airfares, so that the price of a family holiday to the Med would go up again to levels last seen in the 1980s.
See, I'm not sure I believe this, if I'm honest. I genuinely don't think that in the long term it's gonna make a huge difference to the overall outcome, because they'll still want to sell flights. We're still going to want to go to Europe as much as we do now. The only thing that may be a bit volatile. I mean, I'm not an expert on Europe. I've been following the coverage massively over the last few days, especially. But I mean, the only major hiccup in all of this is that we've got to accept, obviously, that the fuel price is going to go through the roof. I think maybe only initially, but I think initially there's
not necessarily, because they don't forget the airlines hedge all the fuel sometimes years in advance. So the fuel that's pumped into our aircraft today was actually bought a year or 2 years ago, possibly. So but of course, all these stories that are coming out, nobody actually knows. A nation has never left the European Union. So anyone that's claiming facts here is probably slightly short of the mark.
They don't really know what they're, I guess we just don't know. That's the long and the short of it. We've got no idea what this is going to mean for us. I mean, I just hope that it won't make a massive difference to... I honestly can't see it making a massive difference to the likes of Ryanair and EasyJet. And I know, for example, Sir Stelios in that story was saying, sort of saying quite negative things, but then he was in the Remain camp, I suppose. So you would expect him to sort of do that. I don't know. It's a tricky one. As I say, I don't think it's going to, in the long term, make a massive difference. But my concern would be, the fuel price is going to fluctuate, and that will have a massive knock-on effect to everyone. Because I mean, we don't get most of our fuel from the UK, if you see what I mean. So we've got to buy it in. But I don't know. All these trade agreements and things. Who knows? Who knows what we've got around the corner? Who knows?
So
have you woken up now?
Yeah,
Carlos?
sorry, I'm just catching up with the chat room.
Right,
and
glazing over.
I think we've got a new person in the chat room. Haven't seen before. Matt hopefully I guess pronounced Matt Sheni.
Right. Okay.
In the chat room is a bit. I don't know where you are, Matt, but give us a shout. Do let us know where you are in the world, because we like to know where everyone is in the world, don't we? Apart from Captain Al.
Yes, we do. Yeah, actually, Captain Al was just saying also we bath fuel as well. Filled the thing up in MAD yesterday.
Madrid.
Right, okay. And it flew to BCN. Where's BCN?
Bacon.
Where's Bacon?
Barcelona.
Barcelona. Thank you very much. You see, it's the voice of Carmen Reason in the background there. Thank you, Nev.
Because you were talking about Captain Al, so obviously I assumed that he said
bacon. It was going to be food related. Yes, no, that's fair enough. Yes, absolutely. That's a fair assumption. Beccles will be visited this year. Excellent.
Yeah, Captain Al's coming to see us here.
Awesome.
Excellent. At our airfield. So I have warned Stuart and Chan at the Three Cooks to
maybe if we could sort of coincide with Nev's visit, we could have.
Yeah, that would be good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we should do that. Yeah,
definitely.
We'll coincide Nev's visit with ours this year.
Sounds like a plan.
So moving on, the next
that would be
news
you this
story
time.
is on the Reuters website, Reuters.com, and Southwest Airlines to postpone delivery of 67 Boeing jets.
Oh dear.
So Southwest Airlines will push back delivery of 67 Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft by up to 6 years, delaying $1.9 billion of spending, the airline said on Thursday. The budget airline said that it postponed the deliveries to the 2023-25 timeframe to manage its capital spending.
That's never a good sign, is it?
It also said in an investor presentation that the revenue environment remained challenging. Shares of Boeing and Southwest fell after the announcement, which raised concern among investors about how long plane makers such as the Chicago-based plane maker can sustain demand for new jets. Following years of orders that have created sizable production backlog, and Southwest shares retraced much of their losses in later trading, while Boeing was up as part of the broad market rally linked to optimism that Britain would remain in the EU. Well, we didn't. We don't see one airline having an impact on Boeing's current plans for narrow-body production, said RBC Capital Markets analyst Robert Stallard in a research note. However, he said the news was not assuring to investors. Having a well-known, well-run customer like Southwest deferring aircraft is likely to prompt concern that there are others to follow, Stallard said. Boeing shares dipped after the news but were up more than 1% at the New York Stock Exchange's close. In a statement, Boeing spokesman said, we continue to see healthy demand in a single-aisle market with the next generation 737s sold out of positions and the MAX sold out through to 2021. We were also able to find mutually beneficial ways to sequence the growth of Southwest's 737 fleet over the long term. The new schedule does not change Southwest's debut as the first operator of the MAX 8 aircraft next year. Southwest shares fell as much as 5.1% in the afternoon trading, but were only down 1.7% at the close. Dallas-based Southwest earlier said it moved up plans to retire its classic Boeing 737 jets to the third quarter of 2017 from 2018. The move was in part aimed at resolving uncertainty about the US-mandated pilot training for those flying aircraft and their next-generation model, the 737 MAX. Southwest said on Thursday it would advance 6 orders for 737-800 aircraft to next year from 2018 to help cover those early retirements. Now, Southwest is kind of like the Ryanair of America, really. It's a huge low-cost airline, Southwest, with an all-Boeing fleet. Have you ever flown on Southwest, Nev?
No, I haven't actually.
Yeah.
That's one of the original low-cost carriers, isn't it? I think that's the airline that Ryanair based their model on. But I've never flown Southwest yet. No.
No, it's I haven't. I've seen when we were in Vegas, they were constantly flying in and out of
Really?
McCarran Airport, all the time on my plane spotting kind of days when I was watching.
Our new listener is from Switzerland.
He's
by
from
the way.
Switzerland.
Yeah,
Oh, greetings from the UK to you in
I
Switzerland.
want to say, I'm going to pronounce that wrong.
Matthias.
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 Thank you.
Matthias.
Oh,
Thank you,
Matthias.
Nev.
Excellent.
See, I
thank
told
you.
you that's why we got
Yeah.
Nev here. You see. He's
Yes,
good at that.
absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
I told you many times I need to be replaced and have somebody else sat here.
So greetings, Matthias, in
Indeed,
Switzerland. Nice to see you in the chat room.
Yeah, well, welcome.
So next news story.
That would be me. Yes.
Oh, it's a bit of a spacey age type story.
Spacey
this
age
is.
thing. Oh, lovely, excellent. So this is Spike Aerospace. He says, pressing the wrong button. SpikeAerospace.com is the website, and the headline is Spike Aerospace evaluating engines for supersonic jet with 2 major suppliers. This is good news. So the story originates from Boston on the 22nd of June, and Spike Aerospace announced today that they are evaluating several possible engine options for the S512 supersonic jet. The company is currently working with 2 engine manufacturers and is in the early stages of discussion with a 3rd engine supplier. Spike Aerospace and the engine manufacturers are identifying existing engines that can be modified to meet the requirements of the Spike S512 supersonic jet. There are several engines that are very close to what we need for the Spike supersonic jet. As we work with the engine suppliers, we will have a better understanding of which one will meet requirements the best and the modifications that are required, said Spike Aerospace CEO and President Vic Kachoria. I am sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. As part of the evaluation process, the company will be working with the engine suppliers to explore options for minimizing emissions and engine noise while maximizing fuel efficiency. The studies will also look into the impact of private and commercial operation on the operating costs of the engines. Engine evaluation will likely take 6 months to a year and will likely result in an announcement of an engine supplier for the jet. Spike Aerospace is looking for low to medium bypass ratio. Somebody will have to explain that to me. So they're looking for low to medium bypass ratio engines with approximately 20,000 pounds of sea level thrust. Most modern engines have high BPR to improve efficiency and reduce engine noise near airport communities. For the Spike supersonic jet, modifications to those engines would likely need to be made. Modifying an existing engine is likely to take 3 to 5 years compared to development of a new engine, which would typically take 10 plus years. So that's quite exciting.
This Spike S512 is the role it's been given as a kind of supersonic business jet. And just reading up a bit of the data on the Spike S512. And the aircraft, apparently, according to their website, will not have windows.
Okay.
You'll love this, Matt. Instead, it's going to be lined with tiny cameras sending footage to thin, curved displays lining the interior walls of the fuselage.
Depends on what we're going to see.
Well, you'll see the outside.
I don't want to see the outside.
Oh, okay.
I don't. No. It's just like my eyes. Just like I don't want to feel like I'm sitting in nothing.
It's gonna cruise at about Mach 1.8 maximum speed. This aircraft once, but it's. What an amazing bit of kit that's going to be when it gets going. Because it'll bring back the supersonic era after, of course, Concorde is obviously not here anymore.
I'm surprised they're not looking at that engine and ways of modifying that, or is that going to be due to its age?
No, I mean, it's unfortunate. There was talks, I think, went in there that they were going to try and get one of the Concordes into taxiable condition again.
Yes, and I think the French were trying to get one back. So there's still discussions going on there, I think, as well. I think it's a terrible shame that the thing's not flying again.
Yeah.
And it was all down to very little to do with the accident, actually, and mostly to do with the politics surrounding it.
Very true.
I have to say, I feel very sorry for what did we say, Matthias?
Matthias.
I feel very sorry for Matthias in the chat room at the moment. He's being barraged with questions from our regular listeners. Bless him. So yes.
But he's new to the chat room apparently, but he often listens to the show. So thank you.
My commiserations to you, sir. Yeah.
So for the last story in the segment for this week, we've got a top 10, or it's actually the 10 worst airports for summer travel. Now these are all based in the US. We thought we'd give our friends across
give them a drumming instead.
Apart from the US.
Is that a good idea when they're all coming over very shortly?
No. Well, I think Captain Jeff and Dr. Steph and Miami Rick and will enjoy this story. But it's the 10 worst airports to travel from in the US this summer. So the story then, this is on the time.com website, and it says an estimated 231 million people will fly in the US this summer. This summer is estimated to be the busiest flying season ever, according to the trade group Airlines for America, which anticipates 4% more passengers will fly than last summer. Oh, hello, Nev. Many of the
I thought I'd turn the volume down.
No.
Better out than in. That's what
Indeed, yes.
Many of the 231 million passengers expected to fly will face light delays and cancellations, long security and customs lines, and mediocre food as they wait in crowded terminals.
Gotta love mediocre food. Hey, Captain Al.
Now, NerdWallet, God, there's not enough food in the airport for Al. NerdWallet analysed recent data from the federal government in a crowdsourced travel app and Yelp to find which airports are most likely to make your flying experience more miserable this summer, factoring in flight delays, security and customs wait times, and dining options. For the detailed methodology and the completed list of words, you can click on the link on the website here to find out more about that.
I have to confess, if all the rumours about Captain Al's eating habits are as true as they appear to be, how is it that he remains to have his sort of what I'd like to refer to as racing snake figure? I'm not entirely sure how that's possible.
I think Al balances it up with alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not famous. What?
So, starting off our rundown of the 10 worst airports.
Indeed. Okay, starting at number 10.
So I'll kick off then, but we let Nev go after.
Yeah.
So, number 10, it's LAX, Los Angeles International Airport.
Number 9.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I do read the script. Miami International Airport.
Number 8.
It's Chicago Midway International Airport.
Number 7.
Washington Dulles International Airport.
Number 6
is Philadelphia International Airport.
At number 5,
Dallas Fort Worth International Airport.
Okay, I don't know any of these airports. I've heard of this one. Number 4
is JFK, John F. Kennedy International Airport.
Excellent. Number 3,
Chicago O'Hare International.
Number 2
is LaGuardia Airport.
Now, where's that?
LaGuardia Airport.
It's one of the New York airports.
Okay, all right. And then finally, the worst airport in the entire US state.
Newark Liberty International Airport, and that's one of the other 3 main New York airports.
Well, so there we go.
Yes. I mean, the story's talking about hideous flight delays and all sorts here, actually. I'm just skimming through it. I mean, it's just like in summer 2015, New York's JFK, it was talking about there. It was actually saying that a standard delay going through customs and security was over 50 minutes, 55-minute delays at customs and all sorts. I mean, it's crazy.
The biggest problem I've always found with the US airports is that if you've got a connecting flight, so when I flew to New Orleans years ago, I had to go through Washington, but you have to collect your bags and identify them and recheck them through to your next destination. So that takes a lot of time, including the queues as well. So unlike in the European region, mainly you can check your bag through to the final destination, and you never see it again until you pick it up at the other end.
Yeah, I have to say, Captain Al is disagreeing strongly with the top 10.
Yeah, Al has put in the chat room, mediocrity should never apply to food.
Right.
And he's put, but they all have McDonald's, so the survey is wrong.
He's completely wrong. Well, that's fair enough, isn't it? And that's what we like about our listeners in the chat room. You know, you can always rely on concise and accurate comment.
Oh dear, I don't know.
Anyway, on that bombshell,
that brings the commercial segment of the show to a close. We've got some military news coming up after this.
Yes, but we're just going to take a very, very quick break. We'll be right back after these short messages.
Find this and other great shows at the Aviation Media Network.
thevoicesinyourhead.com.
The Plain Talking UK podcast is a voluntary project that aims to keep you informed with the latest aviation-related stories from newswires across the globe.
Producing our content does cost money though. If you enjoy our show, why not help us keep on the air by making a donation towards the server and website hosting fees through PayPal. Any contributions would be greatly appreciated.
Are you an Amazon user? If so, why not do your shopping through the link on our website? There's no cost to yourself, and Amazon pay us a small referral fee on qualifying purchases.
To find out more about the show and to meet the team, take yourself to our website www.plaintalkinguk.com,
or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/plaintalkinguk, on Twitter via @plaintalkinguk, or get in touch via email on podcast@plaintalkinguk.com. Thanks for listening.
And we are back.
Yes, we are.
Very exciting. We're now going to play you, obviously, the legend that is Pilot Pip. And as you would expect, for nothing else but from the legend that is Pilot Pip, it is very topical, it has to be said. And it's not really, as he says at the start, it's not really all about plane safety. It's more of a bit of a whinge and a moan. So brace yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Carlos is going to really love this. Here we go. So it is time for the legend that is Pilot Pip.
Plane safety from the flight deck with Pilot Pip.
Plane safety from the flight deck? Well, no, not today. Today is plane moaning and whinging from the flight deck. And I'm talking about Brexit. I know Carlos is probably rolling his eyes, but this stuff's important. And on a personal note, I know opinion is very obviously divided on this, as we've all seen. Just in case you're not aware, people listening to this, that the UK has voted to leave the European Union by something in the order of 51% voting to leave and 49% voting to stay. So opinion very obviously almost equally divided, but the outvote has just nudged it. And on a personal note, I'm shocked that we got to this point. I really didn't think it would come to this. But it looks like we're going to go ahead some point in the next few years and leave the European Union. Now, what the future holds for us all then, no one knows. It could turn out to be a great thing. It probably won't, but it could do. But let's have a little think about what this might mean for the aviation industry and those of us employed within it. And of course, I'm going to put a big headline underlined over all of this and saying, I don't know, and no one else really knows either, but some things that we might want to think about. Well, the airline I work for, SafeJets, like many big airlines across Europe, are based in the European mainland, and they have bases and employees here in the UK. Now, what is that going to mean for us? One of the founding principles of the EU is the free movement of people and workers, and that goes both ways. That means for me as a Brit and for many other thousands of British pilots that we can freely work for airlines based in Europe. So Ryanair is not a British airline, it's an Irish airline. It's part of an EU country, and it employs many British UK pilots based all over Europe. Some of them are here in the UK, many of them are other bases across Europe. EasyJet, although a UK airline, certainly does employ people from other countries across Europe and has bases all over Europe. Norwegian has bases in London Gatwick. It employs UK pilots. There are many other airlines as well, including my own. Now, what's that going to mean for me? Only time will tell, but I can certainly imagine some of the great benefits of working at my airline at SafeJets may well disappear. Now, one of the great draws at SafeJets for me was the ability to live and work anywhere within Europe. So, for instance, if I wanted, and many of my colleagues already do this, I could go and spend my summers down in the south of France, for instance. I don't need visas or anything like that. Or I could go and spend my winters based in Geneva, skiing in the Alps. Basically, I could come and go as I pleased. I could be based at London one week, and then at the drop of a hat, if the fancy took me, I could go and base myself in Madrid the following week. Now, that's not something I've taken advantage of particularly, but it was something that was always there in the back pocket and something I would like to be able to use in the future. But certainly many of my colleagues do this. They spend their summers somewhere hot and they spend their winters skiing, and they can move around free as a bird. Now, what might that look like in a post-Brexit environment? Well, who knows, but I suspect that the ability for British people to move around Europe, to live and work where they please, will be somewhat or severely even restricted. I can't see that we're going to have that same ability in a couple of years' time, which is a real shame. At SafeJets Europe, at least, we have something around 700 pilots, and fully 1/3 or more of those are British pilots. Now, SafeJets is a European-based airline that really puts some question marks over our future. As yet, it's very early days, so I've no idea how the company are going to broach this particular problem of having now UK-employed pilots within a European airline. Do we still have the right to work for a European airline? I don't know. For people looking for jobs in the years to come, well, perhaps their options are now going to be severely restricted. Can a British pilot work for Ryanair in the years to come? Could a British pilot go and work for EasyJet based out of Lisbon? Possibly, who knows, but I would think certainly that a British pilot will no longer be able to go and work for the likes of, I don't know, Cargolux, for instance, is an airline I was looking at recently, flying 747s out of Luxembourg. One of the job requirements is the ability to live and work freely in Europe. So on a jobs and opportunity front, I think the future is very much unknown. Who knows what sort of treaties and negotiations our politicians are going to be able to come up with. However, possibly there is an upside to all of this. Will the UK remain as part of EASA, the European Aviation Safety Authority, the European regulatory body who we are all signed up to? What is the future for the UK now? Are we going to come out of EASA and just go back to our reporting directly to our own CAA? I don't know, but perhaps that would have a bit of a silver lining. You could certainly very much say that the downfall of general aviation, the hobbyist pilot, has been very much affected by rules and regulations and bureaucracy from the Central European EASA. So perhaps losing that part of the industry may well be a good thing. Maybe it's going to free up our GA pilots to be able to operate and fly their aeroplanes how they would wish without this massive web of bureaucracy hanging over them. So hey, that could be a good thing. Personally, a little bit of a silver lining for this is, as an employee of a European-based airline, my contract is in euros, And since the pound has fallen on its arse the last couple of days and will probably remain so for quite some months or years to come, means my salary's gone up when I convert it into pounds. So that's a good thing. Assuming, of course, I still have a job in a couple of years' time. Now, maybe I'm doom-mongering somewhat there. But, you know what? Another thing that just pops into my head is, are we going to have some sort of potential cabotage situations now? So, for instance, a British carrier or a French carrier or a Malaysian carrier or whatever couldn't go to, let's say, the United States and conduct flights within the United States, okay? Couldn't fly on a passenger flight making money on a flight from Texas to New York. Now, are we going to have some problems like that? For instance, let's have a think. We've got plenty of European airlines operating within the UK. Ryanair have lots of intra-UK flights. They fly from London to Scotland, to Glasgow, to Edinburgh, to Northern Ireland. Is there now going to be a potential problem with cabotage? Are we going to allow a European-based airline? Ryanair obviously is an Irish airline, part of the EU. Can they now fly internal flights in the UK? Can EasyJet, a UK-based airline, now fly most of its flights within Europe? Of course, up until now, under a European open skies sort of agreement, we can fly where and when we wish, irrespective of which country we're based in. But is all that going to change? Yeah, it probably will in some form or another. Quite what it's going to look like in 2 or 3 years' time, I really don't know. But I somehow feel that we've done ourselves a disservice. But above all, I just worry now about the opportunities that my kids are going to have in 20 years down the road when they're looking to start their first jobs. It seems that the future should very much belong to them, but this vote a few days ago has been driven, it seems, at least on the initial exit polls and statistics, that the Leave vote has been dominated by the older voter, 50 years old plus. I read a great quote this morning. It goes like this: "The future shouldn't depend on people with their eyes on the past." That kind of sums up my feelings. So on that dull and gloomy note, I'm going to leave you. I'll be back next week with something a bit more upbeat, I hope. Take care, everyone, and adios, arrivederci, ciao, au revoir.
Wow. That's a lot of food for thought there, it has to be said. Yeah, it's
well, if you didn't know then,
yeah,
you do now.
There's a lot to think about there, isn't there?
But we're not going to.
I think it's safe to say we've got some interesting
times ahead,
exciting, nerve-wracking times ahead. Wow, thanks, Pip. I'm as depressed as hell now. Anyway, afternoon, morning, Nev. Yeah.
Hello, yes.
Everyone cheer up. There we go. Happy days. What? Oh,
there we go. We're all happy again now.
So anyway, shall we talk about the military blowing some stuff up?
Let's talk about the military stuff, shall we? And stuff. So we are going to do some military news.
Yeah. Captain Allen says he's off to slit his wrists as well. That's all good. Yeah, excellent. Happy days. Shall we do this?
Yes, let's do this. So we're going to do some military news. And so, are you ready, co-host?
Yes, just about. Yes.
And are you ready, fellow guest co-host?
Yes, definitely.
Let's go. So our first story on the military segment for this week on Flight Global. And,
steady on.
Excuse me, that's the coffee coming back there.
Oh.
So the headline, can Airbus bear the weight of A400M Atlas? Oh, that's a bit worrying. By all rights, the Airbus Defence and Space A400M should be a soar-away success story in both the domestic and export markets. but at the moment the program is looking dangerously vulnerable. Given its promised capabilities and the absence of any direct competitor, it slots neatly between the out-of-production Boeing C-17 and Lockheed Martin C-130J. The Atlas stood a very real chance of becoming Europe's Hercules, if you pardon the mixed mythology. In fact, there have been suggestions that the tactical transport could be sold to the USA, a holy grail for any European program. However, that prospect currently seems further away than ever. Each time the A400M appears to have got back on track, a fresh crisis erupts. At the moment, the engines, or more specifically the GE Avio produced power gearbox, are the major causes for concern, limiting flying hours between inspections and disrupting delivery flow. In addition, the manufacturer has only just delivered the first of the tactical capabilities it promised to customers more than 2 years since the first example was handed over to launch customer France. Of course, every program has its teething troubles, and Airbus is hardly alone in this field. But when they become so numerous, it's tempting to wonder if there's some systemic malice. Oh God, what is in that coffee? Afflicting the aircraft or its production system. Defence procurements that are linked to national participation in a program often seem ripe for logistical or manufacturing woe, adding as they do a layer of complexity and additional points of potential failure. What is particularly frustrating is the case of the A400M, that is, Airbus has proved perfectly capable of designing and executing a military aircraft. Take the A330 multi-role tanker transport, for example. Sure, it's based on the mature commercial platform, but it's already assuming the status of market leader. And compare its development hiccups to the trivials being experienced by Boeing on the KC-46, which is based on a similarly proven airliner. Of course, Airbus may yet turn the A400M's fortunes around. Recent progress on delivering tactical capability is a positive step. But until the current engine gearbox deficiencies are addressed, it will remain the source of frustration to its customers and a cash drain on the company. At the moment, Atlas appears to have the weight of the world on its shoulders. Now, this is a shame because I've seen these now at the last couple of years at air shows. RIAT, we saw this at RIAT last year doing a display. And, I was really impressed with the way the Airbus, looked in the air, for one. And some of the flying display that they'd done at the show was fantastic. Seeing this aircraft in the air. Yeah. But I mean, the gearbox issues that they've got. This is an engine issue. It's not the actual airframe. Right. It's not the the avionics and the airframe and the aircraft itself. This is an engine.
Yeah, but one won't work without the other.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Me and Pip, as you probably remember, we said before, we got a chance to go on board this aircraft last year at RIAT, and it's amazing. It's an amazing aircraft to go on board. Have you had a chance to go on board the A400M, Nev?
No, I haven't actually, but I did go down to, I think it's a lot of it's manufactured, is it still in Filton? But I went on a company trip down there a few years ago and saw some of the manufacturing and assembly processes. But as Tony S says in the chat room, the cockpit's very, very cool. It's a very, very nice environment, but I've not been on one yet, no.
So welcome to another new listener in the chat room, another watcher, Fernando Elido. I hope I've pronounced that right.
I think I've seen him before.
Have you seen Fernando before?
I think we've seen Fernando before. Yeah, absolutely.
No, but
also Stuart was just saying. Sorry, slightly off topic. His cycling event went well. They raised over 33,000 euros for the fight against cancer. So well done to Stuart. Well done.
Well done.
Indeed. Anyway, sorry, back to the...
So hopefully we'll see. I think the 400M is definitely going to be at RIAT again this year, so we'll be able to see that aircraft again this year.
Absolutely.
There. And hopefully take you on board this time, Matt. You can have a look for yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
And see what we talk about. Yes. So yeah.
Anyway, on to the next story, and this is more of a follow-up, really, from last week's story, where obviously, and you probably saw because we posted it on our Facebook feed as well. Very, very sad news that, and I think we were quite gutted actually, weren't we? Because obviously, with our American friends coming over, we were really hoping for a full-on good old-fashioned, because you can't beat the Red Arrows, really, can you, for a proper British display? And gutted that obviously they're not going to be able to fly. They're just going to be able to do a fly past essentially, and that's all they're going to be able to do at Farnborough, which is very, very sad. I'm sure they'll put a bit of smoke on and everything, but it's not going to be a show as such. But this is on Flight Global again, and it is an opinion page. So opinion as to why the Red Arrows have put safety first for Farnborough for the first time in living memory, and that's what really frightens me, in living memory. Next month's Farnborough Air Show will not be able to call on the awe-inspiring aerobatic skills of the pride of the Royal Air Force, the Red Arrows, a shining icon of the UK's aerospace prowess. The team will be performing only a number of flypasts with types like the is it the Debutante F-35?
Debutante, yes.
Debutante, yes, sorry about that. The RAF says that its decision stems from an assessment of what is safe, sensible and appropriate above a heavily developed town and a large crowd. In truth, this is an early example of the restrictions that will become widespread following the crash of a vintage Hawker Hunter during last year's Shoreham Air Show. 11 people died when the plane came down on a public road adjacent to the site. Social media was swiftly alive with commentators quick as a hawk in condemning the decision as a knee-jerk reaction prompted by a now overcautious civil aviation authority. These are the UK's best pilots. But bear in mind that service-maintained aerobatic display teams have accidents too. Count the Red Arrow's 2 fatal incidents of 2011, one immediately after a display routine. Within the last several weeks, add aircraft lost by Russian, Swiss and US teams to an already long list. It's a shame that the Red Arrows will have a lower key role at this year's show, but cheer their fly pasts and be sure to catch them at any of their almost 100 displays this year where they will still be the best. And this is very true. Hopefully, because of where Riyadh is, obviously, we're hoping that we will see a full display at Riyadh, obviously.
I mean,
and there is talk of them, because again, people who follow the Facebook post will notice I posted a story about an air show local to us in Great Yarmouth
on the coast
in 2017, and of course, rather like the Lowestoft air show that I know I've mentioned loads of times.
They fly over the sea.
They fly over the sea, so there are no issues, if you like, with. All right, they might crash into a wind turbine, but
that's basically what this whole issue's around. It's all basically, they don't want to do these quite dramatic but fabulous air displays over a built-up area. And it's unfortunate that they're not going to be able to do this at Farnborough. It really is. I am genuinely gutted by the fact that they're not going to do the display. But they have. I know that by following with some of the people at Farnborough who we're in contact with, that they have got some quite interesting flypasts ready for Farnborough. They're going to have the Red Arrows flying with the F-35 and the A400M. I think they're going to do a fly past with them all in formation, which will look. It will look good.
It isn't the same though. I'm
no,
sorry,
it's not the same.
It isn't the same, because they do some amazing displays, and I'm sure Nev, you've caught several in your time, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I think the thing is with Farnborough now, when I was down there the other week with Stuart, and of course it's so much more built up now than it ever was. There's so many large businesses, very large residential areas that just weren't there a few years ago. And I can understand in a sense they want to be risk averse, but at the same time, people are spending a lot of money to go to these air shows, and it's a real pity that they won't be able to perform their normal display.
And I'm gutted, as I said a minute ago, I'm gutted that our American friends aren't going to get to be able to see them in their full glory, because I really don't think there is a show like it aviation-wise. I really don't think. I'm sure the Americans would disagree, but I was hoping to sort of
It's been a sad last couple of months really for aerobatic display teams all around the world. We've lost a lot of a few good pilots in various display teams around the world, including America and Russia as well.
And that's why I'm so excited about the fact that Great Yarmouth have more or less got the funding in place. They're literally just dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and it looks like in July of 2020,
I think
there's going to be a big air show in Great Yarmouth, and I really can't wait. I hope lots of people.
The Reds are still going to be displaying at Riyadh though.
Yes,
with a full
crossed,
display.
Yeah, absolutely. That all being well, they haven't. I'd have thought they'd be announcing it by now if they weren't, wouldn't they?
They are. According to the website, they are going to be doing their proper full display at Riyadh this year. But then Riyadh is very much predominantly based over fields. There's a heck of a lot of rural area.
They're saying in the chat room here that because Riyadh is obviously on a military base,
it's not CAA
it's
regulated.
not CAA now. Is that true? Because surely they must have, when it comes to involving the general public, surely the rules change there. I mean,
that's something Pip would be out.
Yeah, am I misinterpreting?
Or Captain Al.
Yeah, I don't know. Any idea, Nev?
I don't know. And I think Farnborough was a military operational airfield at one stage, and there's obviously a lot of civil operations out of it as well. But there's a lot of rules regarding where the crowd line is and what you can and can't do. And I think that as rare as these events are, they just can't afford another moment like they had at Shore. And if there's anything approaching that again, we'll just see a complete.
It'll stop, won't it? There will be no air shows.
The whole things will be cancelled. Yeah. So I suppose it on the one hand, it's a big shame. But let's see what comes out of it, and there may be some revisions of the rules later on, possibly.
Yeah, let's hope so.
So next story, moving on then. This one's all for you, Nev.
Yeah, this is about the FAA finalising rules allowing small drones to access US airspace. And the FAA on the 21st of June have finalised a new set of regulations to allow small unmanned vehicles, which are UAVs as we know them, weighing less than 24.9 kilos, access after late August to a terrain-hugging pocket of the national airspace. The approval of the newly created Federal Aviation Regulation Part 107 opens airspace under 400 feet or 100 feet below airspace reserved for manned aviation to routine operations for a burgeoning new industry of drone-based businesses, even as concerns about safety and airspace management liner. I don't understand what that means. With this new rule, we are taking a careful and deliberate approach that balances the need to deploy this new technology with the FAA's mission to protect public safety, says the FAA Administrator Michael Herter. But this is just our first step. We're already working on additional rules that will expand the range of operations. And this final version of Part 107 includes several deviations from the initial draft proposed in February 2015, such as lowering the age for operators by 1 year to 16 and lowering the maximum altitude from 500 to 400 feet. The approved version of Part 107 also prohibits flying UAVs beyond line of sight at night and over people, although it does allow operators to, it allows operators to a process to apply for waivers for these prohibitions. The National Business Aviation Association greeted the final version of the new rules, saying Part 107 will provide clearly defined operating parameters that commercial UAV users have sought for years. But the lobbying organisation also wants the FAA to approve safety-related updates, such as clear guidance on how to notify airports when UAV operators plan to fly in close proximity. The approval of Part 107 replaces an ad hoc waiver process created under Section 333 of an FAA reauthorization bill in 2012. And those so-called Section 333 exemptions require UAV operators to be licensed pilots, but Part 107 eliminates that requirement. And that change concerns the Airline Pilots Association, which is the International Union for Airline Pilots. ALPA would like to see the FAA take a stronger stance in ensuring that those who commercially pilot small UAVs hold the same certificate as commercially rated pilots. This will assure a standard level of aeronautical knowledge and training across all pilots operating UAVs commercially, the union says.
Yes.
Interesting times for UAVs, I think, especially in the States.
Yeah,
where the whole registration thing is obviously been.
I can see it coming in here. I think there's been enough incidents now to warrant. The trouble is, I suppose, the ones that are complying are not the ones that are causing the problems in the first place, though. Aren't they?
I mean, I think I read an article online not so long ago that the incidences of UAVs or drones or whatever, getting in the way of aircraft has gone down. I think I read online. There's not been so many reported in the last month, so hopefully that's a good sign, I suppose, that people are
hopefully
being more
being a little bit more savvy about it.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
So the last story on the military segment this week on the Telegraph website.
Sorry, just updating. Apparently, the RIA is because it's on military thing. The CIA do have no.
Oh, because it's on a military base.
It's on military base.
Okay.
But I just wondered, because you got members of the public involved. In my defence, as I say, I don't know enough about this, and perhaps I should by now. But as I say, because it's the minute you get the public involved, I didn't know whether the Civil Aviation Authority would then have a say. But then, as somebody else was saying, obviously, insurance company would be the first to shout as to whether what was allowed and things. So yes. Anyway, as you were.
So on the Telegraph website, telegraph.co.uk, headline: Royal Air Force will have to send F-35 kit back to the US for repairs, even though it was built by a British-owned company.
Right.
Worrying. So the RAF's new F-35 stealth jets electronics will have to be sent back to the US for repairs for security reasons, even though the gear is made by an offshoot of British defence giant BAE Systems. The revelation came as BAE detailed the importance of its US-based electronic warfare (EW) division to the company, with it generating about $1.4 billion or £950 million of the group's annual revenue of £17 billion. The EW business produces systems on the aircraft, ships and vehicles that identify threats such as radar and then jams them, for example by blinding missile guidance systems or preventing detonation commands on roadside bombs. Tom Arsenault, Chief Operating Officer of BAE Systems Incorporated, the US arm of the company, said that his business produces the EW system for the advanced F-35 jet, of which Britain is buying 140 of the aircraft. However, US export regulations mean that when the complex electronic systems on the jets need repairs, they will have to go back to the US Royal Air Force engineers, who will not be able to fully service the equipment, but even though it was built by a British-owned company, which is a bit bizarre, really, going backwards and forwards, must cost them a fortune. Mr. Arsenault said that in the F-35, the EW system will be treated like black boxes. When they need servicing, they will have to be unbolted and sent off and a new one put in. The executive said America International Traffic in Arms Regulations, ITAR, regulations meant that several export customers buy products of which they have no knowledge of the workings of the innards. The F-35 program is an international project with BAE producing around 15% of each jet by value. The scheme is the world's largest ever single defence project with a lifetime value of £620 billion when training and servicing costs are factored in. It's expected to turn out more than 3,000 aircraft worldwide over its 50-year lifespan. About two-thirds of the value of the BAE work has comes from building parts for the F-35's airframe at its Samlesbury site in Lancashire. Probably pronounced that completely wrong. The remainder comes from the EW system, which is the largest single project for BAE Incorporated. Mr. Arsenault said that BAE Incorporated had invested close to $100 million over the past 3 years in new factories to build EW systems or early warning systems for the F-35 program, which has been beset by delays, cost overruns, and is starting to ramp up its production rate. So the story goes on. There's some interesting pictures there. But no, that's a bit worrying if you can't detect something that's radar that's been or tracking you or something. You've got no defence for yourself, have you? But obviously they'll keep stocks of repairs.
Yes, and cost overruns in the military. That's never happened before.
No, never happens. No, it always goes to budget, doesn't it? Surely.
Nice little picture there, Matt. Put that on the screen. There.
Sorry, yes,
a little picture there of the F-35 there. There we go. So Britain's got 140 of these on order.
Wow.
And hopefully, I think I read the list on the Farnborough site. I think they should have a few of these or one of these there at Farnborough. But I think there's going to be 4 of these at RIAT this year.
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
I had to have that,
think
yes.
there's 4 of these at React this year, so
Wow.
that'd be
We'll
nice to see.
definitely see one or two.
It'd be nice to see a real one because a few years back at
Some
Farnborough,
mock-ups and things.
they
but
had a sort of plastic one, which was a bit boring. So no, it'd be nice to see one of those.
Wash your mouth out! How dare you? I'm just going to go back to the topic we were talking about a moment ago, if
What's
that's
that?
all right. Now, and Don Sebastian in the chat room has asked a very interesting question, I think, and he asked the question. So, if there's anybody experts out there who might be able to get us some answers to that, you may not be able to get it by the end of today's show, obviously, because it's coming to an end. But please do feel free to email it to us, which is podcast@planetalkinguk.com. But Don Sebastian was asking the question, and it's slightly morbid, I know, but at air shows, military or civil pilots, what's the crash ratio? Does anybody know?
No, I
Just a. I know it's slightly odd, sort of thing, but it's quite an interesting. I wonder what the ratio is. Military pilots versus sort of civil aerobatic.
I have
pilots,
no
what the
idea.
ratio was, just out of morbid curiosity, frankly. No other reason than that.
No idea.
No, indeed.
So that is where we bring the military news to a close this week. And so as we've got Nev here, another reason I gave you the call last night, Nev, to get you on was because obviously you've had a heck of a lot to do with the APG meetup that we've got at Farnborough this year. So I thought we'd you would have a bit of if you've got any more info or details as for those of you guys in the chat room, and obviously those of you guys listening on the audio podcast who are coming to Farnborough this year, kind of what they've got to look forward to in respect to the meetup.
Yes, so the main story is that we have got the main live event and meetup on Saturday the 16th of July, and that is going to be at the Farnham Hogsback Hotel. Jeff has very kindly organised a room for us, which I've been working with them to make sure we can broadcast from there. Cool. But he's also done quite a nice RSVP thing on an app which is called Evite, and you can get an app for your phone for that, and you can log in and sign in. And so far, just looking at it at the moment, we have 26 people confirmed.
Fantastic.
plus 3 maybes.
Any of those 26 people in the chat room? Give us a wave.
I think we'll probably have a lot more than that by the time we finish, actually.
Okay,
so
that's very exciting. No pressure then.
no. So it's got to work, isn't it, really? So no technical funnies.
No, we have much to talk about, I think, Nev. When the show finishes, it has to be said.
We'll do that. So I'm going to pop down to the hotel again next week just to finalise some details and check some internet and what have you. So that's going to be on the Saturday the 16th, which will be starting at 5 o'clock. And as I may have mentioned to a few people, because it's the United Kingdom, it will be starting on time. Then we'll have a general meetup afterwards.
That. So we're going to do it basically. So we're going to do a show live. That's 5 p.m. UK time. That's 4 p.m. UTC. Because it's British summertime here at the moment, which is why it's differing from GMT. So it's we're looking at 4 p.m. UTC for anyone who's listening around the world. That'll hopefully give you an idea about what we're going to do. We're going to do it. We're not involved directly in the show. We're supplying technical equipment. I think that's the safest way to sort of say it. We're hopefully facilitate the guys in achieving something that I don't think they've done before, actually. So it's going to be very exciting to have a proper live audience.
The TriStar van is going to be
it's going to be
rather
loaded to the nines.
With electrical and cabling equipment, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very exciting.
So what's the venue itself then, Nev? Is it quite nice inside?
It is, we've got a special room put aside for us. It's what they call the ballroom, it will easily take 50 to 60 people without much trouble, I wouldn't have thought. And there's plenty of room for equipment. There's also a projector and screen, so that may offer us some visual possibilities. And we'll have a think about that later on.
Yeah, possibly. We will. We'll have a chat. Yes.
So that's that, and that's all booked and ready to go. And really looking forward to it. And it's very easy to get to. Plenty of parking there, and it's within about 3.5 miles of the local station, so it's not
not far from the train station either. That's good. Yeah. No, excellent. Well, this is all very exciting. Oh, hello. The chat room's obviously going crazy, is it?
I just need to put Captain Al in his place. The van is always going to be the TriStar van. not the Airbus van.
How rude. Yeah.
My van doesn't keep flying into forests all the time.
You can't say stuff like that.
Anyway,
I think it's time, before we get sued by someone who with deeper pockets than us, it's time to end episode 118. Don't forget.
Really?
I know. I'm sorry. I know we're all having such a lovely time, and I'm a killjoy. I know.
But on the plus side, I've got to go on holiday.
You've got to go on holiday.
Yay!
Absolutely. So, to get in touch with the show, it's all the usual channels: www.planetalkinguk.com. You will find on Facebook, we're facebook.com/Plain Talking UK, and our Twitter handle is @Plain Talking UK. Our email address, if you so wish to write to us, please do write to us. We don't mind any kind of feedback, good or bad. Helps to put us in our place every now and again, doesn't it, everyone? It is podcast@plaintalkinguk.com.
I think you do that every week now.
Yeah, forward splash. Yeah, that's what I'm going to call it from now on. It's going to be a forward splash from now on.
Oh dear!
Yeah.
And for our guest host today, thank you ever so much, Nev, for coming on the show.
Yeah, pleasure, guys. Very nice to see you again, and thanks for inviting me on.
Always a pleasure, Nev. You're
so
welcome.
Where can people on the media type things? Where can they find you, Nev? They want to find you.
Best thing's probably Twitter,
which
is @Neville Bounds, Nevil Bounds, Bounds. That's where I spend probably far too much of my time.
I think we're all a little guilty of that. It has to be said. I must say, actually, slightly off topic. I nicked one of your tweets as we were talking about Twitter. I nicked one of your tweets. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? Because obviously we had going back to the Brexit thing. I'm sorry, everyone who's listening. Oh, stop it! But it was absolutely classic. What was it? Fox News, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was absolutely classic thing in the fact that apparently us as the UK, we're not leaving the EU, we're leaving the UN. Apparently, which was fantastic reporting. As I say, when I saw it, I thought yes, Nev will be very much enjoying that. It has to be said.
That made my day when I saw that tweet.
It's just like, oh dear. Never mind. You can always rely on the American media to be 100% accurate at all times. Yeah. Anyway,
so that is where we're going to bring episode 118 to a close. Don't forget to join us next week, where I will be on location.
He will be on location
holiday
in Malta,
on the lovely Mediterranean island of Malta. Yep. Matt will be here at PTUK Towers. Yeah. He's already got the keys. I've given him the keys to the house and the TriStar van, so he is in charge of everything while we're away here, including the wonderful little girl, Poppy Cat.
Poppy Cat,
Poppy Cat is going to be here, probably looking after Matt.
Well, I should think so. Yeah, she'll show me around, right? Tell me where everything is. Yeah,
she will. Yeah. So thanks again to everyone in the chat room who's joined us today.
It's been a busy chat room.
It's been a very busy chat room today. Special thanks to Captain Al for keeping everyone highly amused in the chat room today. I'm going to give a special quick mention as well before we close the show to a couple of listeners who listen to the audio podcasts. Matty Caton, I know he listens to the show. Hello to you, Matty. Thanks for listening to the show. And also Jason Rowe. Thanks for listening to the show, Jason. I know he listens to it as well to wind away the hours and when he's working. Right. So well done to you, Jason.
Indeed.
So that's it then.
Yeah.
From me, Carlos, it is a incredibly sunny,
it is,
but not quite as sunny as Malta. Goodbye.
From me, Matt, here, yes, it is. It's time to bring 118 to a close. Next week's going to be very exciting. I'm going to be in the studio all on my own.
Hopefully the Skype link will stay up, and I won't be.
Well, it was thunderstorms, wasn't it, last time? That's what ruined it. And from the legend that is Nev.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Have a nice weekend, everybody. Take care.
Indeed. From all of us here in the studio, it is goodbye.